Well, one of those calling for a state of emergency is Professor Epiphany AZINGE, a constitutional lawyer and former Director General of the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies. He joins us now to tell us why he thinks this is the best solution. Thank you so much for joining us on News Night tonight.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's a good place to start. You know, why the call for a state of emergency? Have things gotten that bad? You know, that Nigeria needs a state of emergency. Why are you calling for that now?
Well, we cannot continue to underscore the worsening state of insecurity in the country at this point in time. And it does appear that we have lost a grip of what can be done and what cannot be done. In the last 10 years or thereabout, we've witnessed the growing level of insecurity, and we thought that possibly with the arrival or emergence of the present administration about 7 years ago that possibly something could have been done. But we've also noticed that increasingly we have come to the inevitable conclusion that Nigeria is now in a state of war. And if that be the case, then something serious and drastic must be done. It is only under Section 305 of the Constitution, wherein the President has the power to issue a proclamation of state of emergency. The processes are well enunciated. But the critical aspect of it is to know exactly the indices that the Constitution has clearly enunciated. One, if the Federation is in a state of war, and I submit that we are in a state of war. We've always been, because we've lost some territories here and there to the insurgents or terrorists or bandits, as the case may be. If there is imminent invasion of any part of the country or involvement in a war, I think we have passed that stage. If there's actual breakdown of public order and public safety, I don't think we can describe it better than what we are seeing at this point in time. And then if there is a clear and present danger of breakdown of public order and safety, but the underlying aspect of it is that it enables the operators or the people in charge to now use extraordinary measures in order to address some of these issues.
And what would be those extraordinary measures? What would be the extent and scope of this state of emergency you're calling? Are we looking at dissolving the National Assembly, dissolving the Federal Executive Council?
No. I believe that we've moved on. Well, in the early days of state of emergency declaration in Nigeria, we toyed with that aspect of it, but we've since passed that stage. We've corrected it. It does not in any way suggest that the governors will no longer be operational or the House of Assembly will be affected. Not at all. But it is a question of creating the environment, enable environment to allow extraordinary measures to be used.
Will those measures come from the center, from the federal government at the center, or from the sub-national levels?
Automatically, once there's a state of emergency, the federal government takes charge. Whether it is at the state level or at the federal level, the federal government is in charge because it enables the military to move in. It enables the police at the central level to move in, amongst others. It will now afford the opportunity, if there is going to be aerial bombardment and all other ways of trying to scuttle whatever the terrorists or bandits or insurgents are plotting. I believe that we've gotten to this point now. There's no two way about it. There are so many theaters of conflict all over the country at this point in time. There are threats issued to various states and locations, and they try to obviously achieve that same objective. They write letters and they follow up. I believe that this is the time possibly for government of the day to stand up and decide that this is an opportunity for us to issue a proclamation of a state of emergency.
But what
you
would
didn't
it
actually
what would
get
it mean?
to answering the extraordinary measures. What would be these extraordinary measures to restore peace and unity you talk about?
No. Extraordinary measure means that if there's going to be curfew in some areas, if there's going to be aerial bombardment, all other military measures that can be used to exterminate this worsening insecurity. If we can pigeonhole the terrorists and they use aerial bombardment or other measures to make sure that combat them, let there be frontal attack.
But now that they're mixing with the general population, from the intelligence that you get here from Gani Adams, that you know, there are camps in Oyo, Osun, Lagos, and of course you heard the police PRO in Lagos there try to assuage some fear, but the fear is palpable in Lagos, in Abuja, in every part of the country. Now that it seems that the terrorists have mixed with the general population, how easy would it be for the military or even the police to bombard?
That's where there's need for extraordinary measures. Extraordinary measures in the sense that there might be instances where people are not allowed to move out within given hours. Right. These people are usually in the bush. And we know where they are. The intelligence, they know where they are. It is a question of trying to encircle them and then hit them headlong. If we use such extraordinary measures, I believe that we can achieve much more. We cannot be living in palpable fear, staying indoors. People are no longer as free as they ought to be. The only challenge we know is that the earlier anything is done, the better. We are going to go into electoral campaigns shortly. Right. Yeah. Now, if we don't do this early enough, then, but it is better that we do it than people not voting during election.
Well, isn't it easier said than done? Does it start and end with the president issuing a proclamation? The role of the National Assembly, the buy-in of the governors.
No.
How easy would that be?
Of the National Assembly. The National Assembly, they have a role to play in terms of resolution to support the instrument of the public gazette that the president has to issue. So they have a role to play. Now they are on vacation, but even at that, let there be this acceptance that we have gotten to the point. It would appear that the major challenge is that people have not come to this inevitable conclusion that this is the time for us to declare state of emergency.
But there are fears that elections
on our democracy. I mean, like you just mentioned, our elections are right around the corner in February.
Now, if we stagger things,
right?
Ideally, state of emergency should be for 6 months, but it can also be revoked at a point in time. If you start from August and then target October, 3 months, you can achieve so much. And then there will be peace for people to vote in February. But if we don't, these people will continue with their threats, even in February, and we find out at the end of the day, most people will not even have the courage to come out and vote. So we must do the right thing at the right time, and I believe this is the right time for Mr. President to start thinking along this line.
Okay, unfortunately, we do not have time. There's an ultimatum for impeachment on the president. The armed forces says it's working on a new strategy. I wonder if that does not instill any sort of confidence in you, but unfortunately, we have to end the conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the news tonight. Professor Epiphany AZINGE, constitutional lawyer and former Director General of the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies here in Nigeria.